Ruth, the sound is actually gone on it. We'll have to do that again. And this is just for our own recordings. It starts with that little piece. So hi, sorry, I couldn't find my mute button there. So welcome everyone to today's webinar. Today is digitalization, creators not consumers. That is the topic we'll be looking at. Just to give you an idea of who's in the room, myself and Ruth are here. So I work in the program and support and development team in Lurgas as part of the youth field, and Ruth also works as part of the program support and development team in the youth fields. To give you an idea of the run through for the day. So we've kind of done our intro and a little bit of housekeeping. We'll do a really short activity, just a brainstorm activity to think about what digital means. And then I'll do a short presentation about the Erasmus Plus context, so why this topic. And then I'm going to pass over to Pedram, who's here today with us to do a short input. And he comes from Gutsy Go. I'll talk a little bit more about that. And then we'll pass on to Leo Gilmartin from NYCI, and then we'll have time at the end for some Q&A, evaluation and close. So as I said, we're going to go to menti.com. So if you, to do a short brainstorm, we're going to do a word cloud to think a little bit about what digital means to you. So if you go to www.menti.com and type in the code 90449918. If you have any issues there, maybe Ruth, you can put in the menti.com and the code in the chat as well. So you should get, you can see at the top of the screen again, if you are having any difficulties, www.menti.com, 90449918. And once you're here, so what I want you to do is to think a little bit about what digital means to you. So what comes to your mind when you think of digital. You can put in multiple words that come to your mind. So whatever is the first thing that you think of. Online, globalization, connectivity, yeah. Different interaction, computerized technologies. Speed, that's an interesting one. Yeah, media, literacy. Pixel image. Togetherness, some really nice ones. Anxiety. Hopefully we'll tackle some of the anxiety today. Pixel, Zoom. I think everyone's familiar now with Zoom at this point. Literacy. Using apps. Great. So there's quite a lot of things that we've identified here when we think about technology. So I think everyone's possibly entered. So I'm going to come into that. So I think, you know, we can kind of gather that digital is based on what people have come up with. Digital is quite a broad topic. It's a huge undertaking, really, when you think about it. And digital could be in relation to data, media, computers, internet, electronic images, information and tools. But I suppose for today's event, we can tackle digital overall as a topic. But what we're going to look at is, you know, how to work with young people with digital tools and specifically maybe around using those tools to support young people, you know, in their active citizenship, or tackling things that they're interested in and things like that. So where does Erasmus Plus come in? So you may or may not know that the new program has been launched. So the Erasmus Plus program from 2021 to 2027 has recently been launched, and within that program there are some key priorities. These priorities are cross-sectoral, so they go through all of the fields, and I'm just going to touch on a couple of them. So inclusion and diversity is the first one, which means that the program promotes equal opportunities, access and inclusion and fairness across all of its actions. And then environmental sustainability means that it promotes incorporation of green practices, as well as supporting organizations and participants to take an eco-friendly approach when designing activities. The next priorities are the ones that I'm really interested in today. So the other two priorities definitely factor into the topic, I think, but these are really the key priorities that we're looking at. So digital transitions. So this, within the program, this means that it supports the incorporation of digital tools and virtual approaches, as well as the development of high quality skills and competencies, and the development of uptake of innovative digital learning and teaching practices. So it's really about not only supporting the incorporation of these digital tools, but developing those skills and competencies around them. And then participation supports the active, so the program supports the active citizenship and ethics in lifelong learning. It fosters the development of social and intercultural competencies, as well as critical thinking and media literacy. So we're really looking at both of these topics today. I do definitely think that these intersect, and a lot of the priorities intersect, and they can be tackled within one project. And then, so we have two speakers that will be talking a little bit about the work that they do, which what I hope from today will give you inspiration into how you can use digital tools and how you could possibly use them to support active citizenship with young people, and how you can use them to support young people's voices. So with that said, I don't want to take up too much time talking, so I'm going to pass on to Pedram. So Pedram is joining us from Finland, which is very good of him. And he's going to talk to you about his work with GotsiGo.
Yes, hello everybody. My name is Pedram Aflatsuni, and I'm working at GotsiGo as an educator and also a cinematographer. So I also film and edit and all kinds of stuff. Yeah, let me share my screen. Wait a second, sorry, I have too many things going on.
It's never a good sign when the experts have technical issues now, Pedram.
Yeah. Just disclaimer, this is not my own computer, but yeah, Zoom is not able if you don't quit it. Oh man, I have to quit and come back.
No, if you just cancel that, I've had that problem just last week. If you just cancel it and then try and share again, you just have to enable and then cancel. Just ignore it. Should work.
Let's see what happens now. Do you see my screen now?
Yeah, we see it.
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. You were right. Thank you so much. So what we are doing in GotsiGo is that we are combining media and education. They are not married, but we are trying to make them be a couple. So we work with teachers, schools, and the cities. Our goal is to be able to make the youth build peace and train the whole school system and the 8th graders to create peace instead of going to army, being able to get ready for a war. So that's the big goal, that we are building a whole different kind of culture in school already when the youngsters are like 14 to 15-year-old. So it's all about increasing participation for all kinds of people. It doesn't matter if you're into studying or not, because what we do is completely something else from normal school days. So why do we work with youth? Here's some things that really have raised a lot of attention for us, that youth really consider making the world as a better place in their own mission of life. And youth want to help, but most of them don't know how. We are specialized in working with video, so I could try to explain what we are doing, but we have also a video just recently made ready in English. So I'll just show this video and continue my presentation after this. So I hope you can hear the audio. Let me know.
We don't hear the audio.
No?
No, sorry.
Okay, you're not hearing the audio. Should I put the link, and if maybe someone else can share this video, so to avoid losing time?
Just in Zoom, you know, when you're sharing the screen, there is a little button at the bottom left, you know, when you get the pop-up with the different things that you can share. There's, on the bottom left, it says share computer.
Oh, yeah.
Tick the box.
Thank you so much. I'm so lucky that I have you guys helping me. Let's share it again and try one more.
I think because it's coming from YouTube, is it the issue, or?
So you guys didn't hear it?
No.
Okay. Let me see. One more time. I will just stop this share and try it again. Share sound optimized for video clip. Let's try again. How about now? Did you hear it?
Yes, we could hear it. Perfect.
Okay, perfect. Yeah,
Yeah.
let's. So I'll put it on now.
Great.
GutsiGo is a method created in collaboration with teachers and young people for schools. The youth create solutions to problems in their own city and practice future skills with the help of trained coaches. The peace-building videos make the strength of the youth visible in all the community. GutsiGo kicks off with a special week. The first day challenges the whole age group in teams of 10 to make keen observations of the surrounding world.
Meidän tiimin idea lähti siitä, että me tehtiin yhdessä havainto, että entisillä vangeilla on vaikeampi palata takaisin yhteiskuntaan. Vi ska gå och se på gamlingar.
Och vi har märkt att många som bor här känner sig ensamma.
Me pohdittiin meidän lähimmäisiä ja tajuttiin porukassa, että meillä kaikilla on joku, kenen välisiin suhteisiin me voidaan vaikuttaa. Tyypit miettii, että no onkohan mulla joku huono suhde mun isään tai serkkuun tai kaveriin.
On the second day, teams allocate tasks, carry out preparations, and obtain collaborators when needed.
Tehtäisiin täällä tällaista Gutsy Go rohkeaa rauhantekoprojektia.
Mä kysyisin, että tunnetko ketään tällaista henkilöä, jolla niinku, lainataan meille minibussi?
Olisiko mahdollista puhua myymäläpäällikölle tai kauppiaalle?
Joo, kyllä mä luulen, että ne pelaajat vois suostua siihen.
Kodittomat auton perässä kuljetettavaan saunaan.
Ja meillä on nyt käynnissä Gutsy Go-viikko. Ja me tarvittaisiin teidän apua.
Hyvä. Me saatiin tila!
The third day is amazing. All the teams go out to implement their solutions around the city. Young people and the teachers are nervous, but there is strength in the common goal.
Osaatko vaikka muuta tästä?
En mä varmaan.
No sä oot yrittänyt.
Kohta sä tulet menemään tuonne huoneeseen ja siellä sulla ottaa possu.
Mä en olisi uskonut, että rauhan tekeminen olisi ollut noin hauskaa.
Nyt teillä on tunti aikaa olla tuolla limusiinissa ja ratkoa teidän erimielisyydet.
Jos te kotitatte sitä, niin te voitatte sen. Onko sä lentää?
Joo.
On the fourth day, each team's documentarists edit a short film. There is great potential for learning more about one's strengths from real completed project. Together, young people can identify their own character strengths that have come to light during their project.
Se rauhanteko, niin mun mielestä se on ihan tärkeä asia sille, että se pitää meidän yhteiskunnan kasassa.
On tosi hauska, kun pääset auttamaan jonkun.
Eli rohkeita rauhantekoja.
Nähdään vielä eri tapoja, millä voisi vaikuttaa yhteiskuntaan.
Nuoret pystyy tehdä saman asian, mitkä vanhemmat, ja ehkä vähän vaikuttaa myös paremmin.
Tutustuin uusiin ihmisiin. Mä sain aikaan teon ja tekoja, jotka oikeasti on mulle tärkeitä. Miten pitkälle nuoret on oikeasti valmiita viemään ne rauhanteot?
The fifth day takes the impact of the project to another level. It's important to see that something really happens. Talking is not enough. One must see that things change. The acts of peace need to be made visible.
Me nähtiin lopputulos ja kokonaisuudessa, mitä me oikeasti ollaan saatu aikaan, niin tää on ihan mahtavaa.
Gutsy Go premieres in social media highlights youth potential for all society. The youth are supported in their projects by trained Gutsy Go coaches.
Right. I'll stop it right there so that I can continue telling you some more stuff because we're running out of time. How can I see you guys? I lost this. Yes, okay. So, peace innovations for the whole city. I'd like to show you this diagram that what kind of things the youth address in their observations. If you look at this, you can see that, for example, the isolations of elderly people is a pretty common thing. This is taken from 3,000 youth that until now we have been worked with in 15 different schools. You can see what kind of observations these youth in groups of 10 have made. What are the problems that they see in the society? Why media? We really believe that changing the narrative in one city or the whole country is something that youth can do through media. And I will quickly tell you about one of our latest projects, which is called the Teen Bully Experiment. So there was news all over the Finland last year and like also this spring about youth who are like really brutally bullying and they are violent. There was this one case where in a city school there had been these 3 guys bullying one of their classmates for a long time, and at the end they bullied him in such a way that he actually got killed because there was like really violent bullying going on, and it was all over the media and all over the news and everybody was talking about it, and there was similar kind of news all over the Finland. So what we heard in the news about youth was that they are bullying a lot when they are 14, 15, 16, and they can be as violent that they can even kill their friend. So we're hearing this media all the time. What we believe is that actually what we hear and see in the media becomes the truth. So we try to change it and tell the reality of the youth in a different way through our actions. And like you could see that in Got2Go, there is a huge challenge for the youth. We are telling them to make a keen observation about problem in the society and trying to find a solution in just a couple of days. And then in the 3rd day already they go and act and execute that solution. So I want to show you quickly a small video about the Teen Bully Experiment and what kind of impact it had to the media. Let's look at this video quickly.
Pikku teet täällä.
Please pois. No niin, ja seuraava bussipysäkki. Man ingriper för sällan i mobbning.
Me mennään näyttelemään kiusaamistilannetta julkisesti ja katsotaan mitä tapahtuu.
Oikeesti näetkö mitä se tänään teki? Hyi, että me please pois. No niin, ja seuraava bussipysäkki. Mua hävettää olla, että me onkaan saman luokalla. Sä tarvisit kauneusleikkauksen. Eiku, ai niin, ei oo varaa.
Onks toi nyt kivaa? Sitten tuntuisiko hyvältä, jos joku olisi teille tuolla? Mä en ymmärrä, mitä ihmiset pystyy olla tollasia.
Älkää tehdä mun bussiin. Ei meitä kiinnosta. Mä silmiin. Ei.
Ettekä heti rauhalta myös soita poliisia. Tää oli hyvä. Sä oikein pelastit mun päivän. Ja sä olit vielä rohkeampi, kun sä olit syöttinä.
Tämä vaan särkee mun sydämen niin miettii, että mitä sit ihmiset voi käydä läpi.
Se oli mun mielestä yllättävää, että ihmiset puuttu siihen kiusaamiseen aika nopeasti.
Och jag hoppas att varje vuxen vågar reagera.
Yes, so in that particular project, the youth was thinking that how can we do something for bullying? And it was a 2-day process that they came up with this hidden camera experiment, and they didn't know what will happen because the first like they thought that none of the adults will react and no one wouldn't really do anything if they will bully in a bus stop, like what is it called? Sorry. Yeah, public place. So this project was really surprising. In the same time that this project was done, at the same time the guy in that city, which was all over the news, was killed. So basically this project showed the whole Finnish people. I mean, the video has now reached more than 1 million views in Finland, which is a great amount of people, because we only have 5 million people in the whole country. So what we see in the media is not the truth, because this action showed all the people that adults definitely do care. And we made 7 tests, and 5 out of 7, the adults always stopped the bullying really quickly. So this video raised a lot of discussion, and the youth were asked in the Finnish media to television, and they had a big, like really big discussion about the whole thing. And sorry, just quickly show you this one. Here is the photo of these 2 youths, and the one who was being the bully was herself actually the one who's always bullied. So she acted the opposite of the reality. So this solution was used all over the Finnish schools. We also published some exercises that everybody can do along watching the video, and that is changing the narrative of the youth. So Got2Go has a really bold challenge for the youth, and we are trying to increase participation, because everybody will be able to help one another. It doesn't matter if you're good in school or if you're normally like left out of school, because what we do takes everybody, and we are looking the youth from a different angle. Like right now, you can do things that matter. You can do things that will help other people in your city. You have the power right now to change the world. You can do anything. And also that is documented, made to a video, and we show that to everybody. As simple as I can this quickly explain what is Got2Go is this. So I think I'm already running out of time. So I'll let you guys ask some questions if we still have time for that. Thank you.
Yeah, so if you have any questions, do feel free to unmute yourself. Any comments, questions, anything, you can go ahead and unmute yourself. I'll give it another minute, and then we'll pass over to our next input if no one does have any, but we will have time at the end as well. They actually, so I think Pedram, you have quite a lot of videos. Got2Go have quite a lot of videos on YouTube already that people can watch. I think I've watched a couple. There was one about the sauna, I think, that I'd seen before. Yeah, they're really great. So I would recommend if anyone has some free time to take a look at some of the different things that the young people have been doing, because there's been some really nice projects. If you correct me if I'm wrong, I think there's a few on YouTube, isn't there?
Yeah. unfortunately we don't have so many at the moment in English, but we have like a couple, and we have more coming, because actually next autumn we are going to Estonia, do Got2Go, so we are translating a lot of videos also in English, so there will be soon more, but right now I think there's only a couple of videos. Most of them is in Finnish, so yeah.
If anyone
but
wants to
check,
practice, yeah,
Got2Go. Facebook has already an international channel, so you can also visit there. Have you covered online bullying? That project was mostly about like bullying that happens in daylight and in different situations that someone is seeing it. So it was also like the whole project raised discussion. Like there was something like 8,000 shares and I don't remember how many thousand comments on Facebook in the video. So there was all kinds of people sharing their stories and coming like out with bullying and talking and sharing everything about bullying. And there was also many YouTubers who are like really known in Finland, and they also came up with stories and they made different videos about bullying. So it's kind of raising the topic. It's not that we are particularly giving a solution to bullying, but this project was more like showing that the adults really do care, and we should do more and right now something to bullying, but it's not like it had a solution. It's more like asking about the solution. Yeah, there was some other thing. That was not a question. Please do ask some questions. Like, did you understand what happens in Got2Go from that video? Yeah.
I think as well, one of the reasons why I thought the Got2Go method would be so good for an event like this was because, within Erasmus Plus projects, we're always talking about dissemination and things like that. Whereas like dissemination is inbuilt into the Got2Go method, that you do some sort of project and you immediately share it. That's the whole point, is that you're sharing it. So I think this is a really nice approach in terms of even doing an Erasmus Plus project, that you can kind of have that in mind. So yeah, I think it's a really, really interesting approach. And then as well that it's raising youth voices, so they start with the idea, and then you're also I think it's great that you're making visible what the actions that they do as well to kind of change narrative. So I think the points that you were making there were really interesting from my own part. I don't know if anyone else has any other comments.
One thing that I could also tell is that we used to start this with professional editors, like a really great input in the media. But right now we have a different kind of model. So we're kind of doing two kind of models at the same time. One which has really great input on media and filming and editing. And the other kind of method is really made by the students. So right now, because of digitalisation, how do you even say that? Digitalisation. Such a hard word. Anyway, because of internet and everything that we have I don't know if anyone knows this program called Video. So it's a platform where you can film with your cell phone and you can download the media to the internet like cloud, and then you can edit in there and publish from there. So we are now in another kind of easier model. We are letting the students to edit themselves the videos. So right when they film it, it comes to the like cloud sender. So any one of the youth can edit the videos themselves and publish through school medias, and really safely, because the Video like platform has built in it everything that is like safe with all the restrictions that you might imagine that is in schools. So they can they can make all of these videos themselves, and that could never be possible without like the cloud system that we have right now. So it's really cool that they go all around the city and implement these solutions and film them all with their cell phones, and the videos go to the cloud, and then like all the groups edit in the schoolrooms the stuff, and like different people can edit that had been in the projects, and everything gets published in the school media. So that is something that is like really interesting, that what kind of great tool you can have like in cloud-based editing.
I think there was one question from Leo, and then we'll actually move on to Leo then after that.
Yeah, that's a really good question, and I'm actually happy that you asked it, because last year autumn we had the biggest Got2Go coming ever. It was like 10 schools at the same time in a north city called Oulu. Actually 11 schools. Before we used to do only one school, but then we like changed the whole system that we can like build it up, have a more impact, and then COVID came. So we're like, okay, we need to do 11 schools at the same time, working together, doing videos, helping all the people in the society with COVID. So we really quickly changed the whole system. Like before, there was these big events, like you saw in the video, where everybody comes to the auditorium, and the what is it called? Premiere has a lot of people coming in. But we changed it so that, because schools were open and everybody had mask on, and they were working in small places in the school, so we were able to come up with a solution that all of the big events were streamed. So everybody was just in 10 people watching the videos and the streams and everything in their own classroom, and then going out doing the projects in such a way that at that time COVID allowed. So it was not the same that before, but I will show you a picture that was actually in the presentation. How did we do the premieres? So we made drive-in premiere, like you can see right there. So there was like hundreds of people coming with cars to the premieres and to watch those videos. So it was like really cool to see that happen. And everybody was just like, you know, the project was done in quite same way, but everybody was like practicing social distance, and you know, there was many projects that were about how are we going to be in connection now that there is COVID. Many projects was about that, so there was different kind of things that I could tell, but yeah, I think I'm running out of time.
It's an interesting approach to do the drive-through. I think that's a lovely way to still get, you know, given the context, you know, to still be able to get people together for a screening, but safely maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a nice idea. I'm going to pass over to Leo now for our final input, if that's okay then, Petram. Thank you so much for sharing your work with us. And I'll hand over to Leo.
Okay, cool. Thank you, everyone. Cheers, Ruth and Audrey, for today's opportunity. So today I was asked to kind of talk about a very specific project that we're currently working with, and that we'll get to. But I think the space that we have here today to talk about digital youth work, I think, is a fascinating space, and also a fascinating topic to talk about, even if we take a kind of a 12-month lens onto this idea of a new digital world. And even when we get into this idea of digital youth work, does it still mean perhaps what it did mean when it first came about? So March 2020, of course, the time in all of our lives we'll never forget, we'll want to forget. but it has changed so much. So even if we take this idea of digital youth work, like I know for me, digital youth work was always something that kind of sat over there, or something that, oh yeah, that sounds interesting, but I don't really have the time, or perhaps it's not worthwhile, or it's not something that I think my young people will be involved with. But look what's happened. Look what's after. We've all been engaged in digital youth work, and perhaps youth work is now digital youth work, and now digital youth work is youth work forever. And so I think it's a very interesting time to be thinking about, was digital youth work in 2019 similar to what we are doing right now? So I thought I'd leave that there with you. So what I wanted to also kind of talk about is the National Youth Council, the 12 months, how we kind of tried to adapt, and what kind of observations we made, and what are some of the kind of the ideas and some of the kind of challenges that we also faced in kind of looking, Jesus, where's it gone? Around it. So of course, a main part that when last March, when we kind of had to all of a sudden kind of hit the ground running, and this idea of adapting and moving into what we now would call a digital space. So very much that first point that we saw when we were working from home in March 2020 was trying to provide that space of solidarity and creativity for other youth workers. So we ran an awful lot of spaces, online spaces, where we wanted to bring youth workers together. And we all found ourselves all of a sudden working from home, and being very much kind of isolated also from the people that we work with. And youth work in itself can be very isolating when we try to talk to maybe friends or families who probably don't understand our work. And we kind of miss that standing around the kind of the canteen, chatting to people. And we really felt that first part work that we could do was trying to find these solidarity spaces for youth workers to kind of come together, and very much we felt that was important. And now where we come from in the National Youth Council is that kind of global youth work setting, that idea of thinking globally. So we had a whole host of different kind of resources and that we've used over the years that all of a sudden became very apparent. And so we tried to not just have these solidarity spaces, but also try to be creative and to give practical methods for us all to kind of to use. One's being kind of perspective tools that we've used in the past, to kind of starting to think globally, or starting to think of outside the box, and how can we be as creative, and kind of not forgetting all the different kind of complexities of working with young people in that early days of COVID as well. Another interesting one was that idea of kind of looking at our values. What values were still at play when we got into a lockdown, when we were starting to work with digital youth work? Were the values there? So we did a bit around that. And also that idea of kind of working from home, that idea of home, or staying safe at home, which, yeah, you hear a minister or the Taoiseach talk about, stay in your safe, lovely home. But the reality of that is not everybody has this idea of a safe home, which we felt was very interesting at that early parts to talk about. So very much in that early days of adapting, we felt the kind of the need for those spaces in an online space for people just to be together and to talk and to kind of try to understand of what we are doing. Youth work never stopped. The youth work sector kept going through those early days and has kept going since. So the next point I want to talk is through around that is being open to the new technologies. So very much seeing it almost of a renaissance. Was this as a point of reflecting on the work that we do, reflecting on the skills, and how can we be as open to new technologies as we can? And Zoom obviously became the front runner. I think if you were somebody in the digital world who knew about Zoom, you would have been a good man or a good woman to invest in shares early with Zoom, because you'd be doing well now. But very much trying to be as open as we can to the technologies available and what made sense to work that we were doing, and what made sense to the young people that we worked with. So we try to kind of work with as much as we can. Zoom obviously being the one that kind of is most stable and the one that people are most using at the moment. We use StreamYard was another one. Teams is one we're kind of bought into. YouTube, we have your Padlets. And one that I'm a bit excited at the moment is Discord. So very much moving into this digital world and using digital youth work, this idea of being open and being kind of confident also to these new skills was very much something that we use in those early days of trying to adapt as much as we can to digital youth work. And then finally, then we had that kind of very much those powerful spaces. So in our global youth work team, every year we pick a theme that we focus on. We produce a resource, we do trainings, and we do kind of big events. So we actually last year was meant to be power, and it became a very interesting topic too of used. And we saw the power, of course, of digital youth work. We saw the power also of what youth work could do in trying to still reach out to young people, to still develop relationships to young people. And we found ourselves to using the online spaces, using the platforms as also powerful spaces in working with young people. And when we kind of had these big events that we provided young people these spaces, I heard a good one at the start around this idea when we talk about equal sharing spaces, that a lot of time if we are in that physical space and we have a young person and an adult on a stage, let's say, that all of us, that there is a natural kind of hierarchy, or there's a natural kind of that the adult is higher up than the young person on the stage. But when you're in that digital space, when you're in the Zoom call, there's a lot more equal sharing of the space. And I think that is something that we try to kind of jump on and to harness as much as we can in giving young activists, young people from across Ireland and the world spaces where they can use their power and to continue to keep kind of talking about change making and also talking about the kind of the current environment that they were living within. So two big events that we ran last year in a kind of an online space was the launching of our Youth Manifesto on Climate Justice, work that was done in 2019. But of course, the work still had to go on. So we used that online space and where we invited Mary Robinson and a number of other kind of important people in a webinar space. And the power that we saw there of young people engaging with somebody like Mary Robinson was very powerful. And also we had our One World Beat that I talked about, where we moved completely online and where we ran a full 1 week kind of activity base where we kind of hosted on Zoom and we also kind of took over the NYCI YouTube page. And once again, we used them kind of be open and kind of to try to use those digital spaces to our ability and in what way we could do to kind of connect with young people and to connect with the youth sector as well. Now, of course, there is many challenges that were faced over the 12 months. And I think these challenges are still yet to be fully realized. The idea, the way that we worked, so we saw record numbers in terms of reaching out to new people, developing our network, meeting new people. But the challenge there is how deep were these relationships going? What was the breadth versus the depth like? A lot of the work that we do is looking at values-based stuff, looking to challenge people's thoughts. Very difficult to do in an online space. And even from the stories we've heard from youth workers, that it's all about getting young people in a Zoom call, but it's very difficult to continue that kind of deepening of relationships. Another one is, of course, that kind of looking at that rural and urban, like the issues that we heard and are still hearing of young people engaging in an online space. That it wasn't just about bandwidth, it was also about access and how many young people had access. If a family of 5 to 7 are sharing one laptop in a small space, how can you possibly expect young people to engage fully in an online space? And I think these challenges will go forward. I think we're going to hear buzzwords around the digital divide, but I think we need to be mindful of what exactly that means. Poverty is playing a massive role in the challenges. Inequalities are still at a massive forefront when we're talking about challenges in working with digital youth work. And I think that's only going to get worse as the time comes. And another one then, yeah, our lives have been on hold. We've working with young people. We probably haven't seen our young people in a physical space in months. And what does that mean going forward? What does that mean when we do go back to that physical space? How can digital youth work still play an important role in that kind of physical youth work that we're used to and that we need? And of course, finally, that idea of connection. And perhaps going forward, how can we use digital youth work and continue that connection? And we've seen so much more young people from across the country now. Instead of getting people to Dublin, we can meet with people in Donegal. We can meet people at an international level as well. Even this morning, we have Pedram from Finland joining us, and the power and that digital youth work in kind of connecting new people as well. So I thought this would be an interesting, just to fill that context in terms of digital youth work, and has digital youth work changed to what it was? Even what are some of these? I know it was a big thing in Europe, and when I was spending my time in Lagos, but what has been kind of changed from that, and how can we embrace it going forward? Now, we are involved at the moment a very interesting project called the Sustainable Development Games. It is a 9-month project. We are funded by the SFI, the Science Foundation of Ireland, and it's a programme between Trócaire, ourselves, National Youth Council, and Limerick IT. And the idea of it is to bring 15 youth workers from across Ireland and 5 game and art design students together. So they will learn to design, make, and use sustainable development games in their practice. So very much bringing a whole host of different organizations, even within the National Youth Council. We are the Global Youth Work and Development Education Programme. We are also bringing in the STEAM programme as well. So this is an opportunity that wouldn't be able to really happen if it wasn't for an online space. We are bringing youth workers and different organizations and also different types of arts as well. We're bringing computer science students, computer programmers together with youth workers to try and develop games to train youth workers to use games as a way of engaging young people with, of course, these sustainable development goals. Now, if you've never seen the Sustainable Development Goals, they are, of course, 17 goals kind of encapsulating every issue on the planet relating to people and, of course, the environment as well. So the participants in this course will work closely with Trócaire to explore the SDGs. They will meet and interact with people working in the Global South in order to understand the core issues and the lives of people impacted by injustice, poverty, and climate change. Which is massive. So the idea very much of how can we take games, simple games as well. We're not talking about your FIFAs or your Call of Duties. We're taking more kind of simple dynamic games, and how can we take that simplicity into understanding something complex like the Sustainable Development Goals. So this is kind of an exciting project that this is the second year of it, but we've pushed the boat in terms of what we hope will come from it. So you might be thinking, well, why games? Like, why take games when you're talking about kind of social justice issues? So some quotes here for you. So in order to design a meaningful game, you have to understand, to empathize, and to feel that you can make a difference. So very similar to some of the values you might have at a youth work principle, or maybe even at a global kind of development education. This idea to fully understand something to move into that change making is very similar to how you would design a game. And games can also be a great way to experience adversity and to help analyze very complex situations. So very much bringing in empathy skills and critical thinking skills, very similar to how we design games and how we navigate through a game as well. So this is the idea of bringing 2 very different models of understanding and educating, from the game side, the kind of that youth work side, and what will that mean going forward. So not much time, of course. So very much where we are right now in 2021, still working online and still understanding that, yeah, we are now connected more than ever. But what exactly does that mean for youth work? And what does that mean going forward with using digital youth work in our practice? So yeah, that's me. Thank you very much. I hope I didn't lose us. Any questions?
Thanks, Leo. That was great. It was great to see your experience going online over the last 12 months, as well as the piece about the Sustainable Development Games. So yeah, really appreciated the overall overview that you did there. We do have a couple of minutes for questions if you want to ask. Connie, do you have one? Is it where? Oh, she's heading off. Yeah, so if anyone has any questions, feel free to unmute. Go first.
Could I ask Leo just about do you know when that will be finished? Like, will those sustainable games be accessible kind of publicly, or like for education?
No, yeah, no, absolutely. So the idea of this course is at that very end of November, we will be in the year 2021 and looking at that One World Week we have for this year. So the idea is for hopefully 2 games that will have been created over the 9-month period to be disseminated in a way that, yeah, youth workers and young people can get involved with. And so you're looking at November time, and when the games develop will be kind of put out there for people to use. And also there will be some sort of kind of resource and that we hope to do as well.
Great, great.
If there isn't any more questions, I might just move on because we're just about to close. But I wanted to just do a closing word cloud, or maybe it's not a word cloud. We'll find out soon. So if you could actually just let us know what's your one big takeaway from today. So what is the one thing that's stuck with you after today? So have a quick think, and then what I'd like you to do then after is that there is follow-up questions for an evaluation for the event overall, so you can do them in your own time. You don't need to do them now, but for now, just this little piece so we can see what people's takeaway. So again, it's mentee.com and it's the same code that we used before, so 90449918 at the top of the screen there. And if anyone is having any trouble joining, just let us know. It isn't a word cloud. That's good to know. I thought it was a word cloud. Possibilities. Great, inspiring. There are lots of ways to embrace digital youth work, of course. Just give it another minute. And then Derval said in the chat, not to be afraid to engage with technology and to ask kids to help. I think that's a great approach. You definitely use young people and their knowledge, and you know, if you're using tools that they're interested in, all the better. Okay, we're just at 31 minutes past, so I'm going to stop sharing there. I would ask that if you could just continue the evaluation. You should be able to go along yourself. If there is any issue with that, let me know. But you should be able to go along the next questions yourself. There, it's really short, just to give us an idea of these kind of events and how they work, and plans for future events similar. We will leave it at that. Thank you so much to Leo and Pedram for your inputs today, and to inspire people about how digital tools can be used for young people, but also to support things like active participation and things like that. Thank you.
Thanks for having me. It was a pleasure.
Cheers. Cheers. Thank you very much. See you all soon.
Thank you.